Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 11. I can't believe it. Today, we're going to talk about reviews, how to get them, when to listen to them, and how to let go. Hope and I know this all too well. I am Donna Norman Carbone, and I am joined by Hope Gibbs. Hi, Hope.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe it's November already.
I know. The holiday season is upon us.
Yes, it is. So what's been going on with you? What happened in October and what's been going on at the beginning of November?
I'm still in my temporary office, so that's still happening, but we're getting closer. Let me tell you, it's really hard to recreate my graffiti wall in my office. It's much more time consuming than the first time, because the first time I did it very gradually. So this time I'm feeling like I have to fill everything up. So next time, maybe you'll get to see how it turns out.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for the big reveal. There has to be a big reveal.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on with you?
Well, in a few minutes, I'm getting ready to go back to my old Kentucky home. I am going to the Louisville Book Festival that is this weekend, and I am so excited. I'm going to go up a day or two before and catch up with some old friends, and I'm just going to have a big old weekend in Kentucky.
That sounds fantastic. That's a big deal that you got into that book festival.
Well, I'm very
so awesome.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I haven't been to Louisville, and I know for those who are not from Kentucky, you think it's Louisville, but we call it Louisville. But I haven't been there in a while, so I'm really excited.
That is great. I hope you have much success there. It'll be a good networking opportunity too, to meet other authors.
Yes, there's a couple of authors that we've had conversations. I've interviewed them, but I've never met them in person, and they're going to be there. So yeah, Robert Gwaltney is one of them. So I'm very excited. But
that's great.
So tell me, what about you? What's been going on with you and All That Is Sacred?
I've been doing some, book events. I just recently did, I started doing some craft fairs like around Christmas time. So I did one at the Elks Club in a town or two over. And I've been doing book clubs, and I'm so enjoying just meeting the readers and, hearing what they have to say.
I got to say, we talked about this before, but book clubs, I did so many in October. I think I did 6 or 7 in October alone, and I had one early in November. They're so much fun. I mean, hearing other people read your book, and sometimes they read things into things that I didn't intentionally mean to, but it's great because they take their perspective and their life experiences, and they were kind of putting it into my story. So it's really interesting to hear that.
Yeah. I did an event in October that had a huge audience, which was wonderful. It was so much fun, and it was a great day. But I realized I really like the smaller events, because I think they're just more familiar and more intimate, and you really do get to have full-on conversations with people and not feel like, you have the superficial ones with many people at a bigger event.
So before we get started, what are you reading right now?
So I am reading one of my very first critique partners. Her book just released. It's called Weekend Friends. And so I'm reading that, and I am loving it. Bella Elwood Clayton. Make sure you get your hands on a copy. This book is so good. And I've read a couple of her books because we've been working together for like 5 years. And this one is so good. I'm excited for her. This is her debut.
That's awesome. I can't wait to check that one out.
Yeah. What are you reading?
Well, right now I'm reading 2 books. and they're for Bookish Road Trip. And one I read last year, but I'm revisiting it because I'm getting ready to interview the author, Jean Meltzer. It's called The Matzo Ball, and it was my favorite book of 2022. It was adorable, and I'm enjoying it the second time just as much. And then in December, Bookish Road Trip, we're doing Christmas, and we've got author Jenny Hale and her new book, Meet Me at Christmas. So
Oh, wow.
I am now reading holiday books.
That's awesome. That is so much fun. I love getting in the spirit of holiday. This is just the best time of year.
I do too. I tend to like Thanksgiving a little bit more, but
Yeah,
Christmas, I mean, the whole family gets together and that's nice. But so we're
right.
talking of books,
Yep.
and today's episode is about book reviews.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
We
be
love them and we hate them.
yes, I will be honest. When I was a reader, and that's been the majority of my life,
Yeah.
I rarely took the time out and gave a book a star rating. It just never occurred to me. And then as I became a writer and now a published author, I now know how crucial every single review that you give as a reader, what it means to a writer. And it's not just to say, oh, kudos, we liked your book, or oh, I didn't like your book. This is also a financial part of for an author. So Donna, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I love reading book reviews. I probably read my reviews more often than I should because so many people say, don't read your reviews, whatever you do. They are a blessing and a curse. I would totally agree with that. I'm finding it hard to get reviews, like find different ways to get reviews. So we'll talk a little bit about what our personal experience is and what worked and what didn't work. But yeah, I'm so thankful. And like you, I sometimes did review because I've been a Goodreads member for much longer than I've been an author. And I did see people reviewing there, but I would really only review a book if I absolutely loved it. And, I was like, this book is going to live with me in my heart for a long time.
Yeah.
And now I know how much it means to authors. So I review almost every book that I read.
Yeah. So like I said, I didn't really review. Occasionally, I mean, I was kind of a here and there, I would leave a star or two, but I would never write anything
Yeah.
because at that time I was too embarrassed. I didn't think I could write. But when I signed my contract with our publisher, we had to come up with content for social media. And I knew it was going to be 18 months before my book was out there. And I couldn't just keep posting about this book with no cover. And I had to fill my space up. So I started doing book reviews because I read all the time. And I was like, well, why don't I start reviewing these books, for real?
Yeah.
And it ended up being such a blessing because it helped my writing because I'm
Mhm.
taking in someone else's work and then I am writing a review, and it put
Mhm.
like a time crunch. And it was also great because I wouldn't always tag the author, but I would do like a hashtag of what the author name is.
Mhm.
And 9 times out of 10, they would see it and they would comment, or a lot of them even followed me. And
Yeah.
so for me, I felt like I was filling up my social media page
Feed.
with
Yeah.
actual good reviews because
Right.
I take it this way. If I did not love a book, I'm
Mhm.
not going to review it because I'm not one of those people, just because it wasn't my cup of tea doesn't
Right.
mean I'm going to spoil it for someone else.
Well, you know what? I want to talk about that a little bit. Like, what is your criteria for your star rating? Like,
I rare
what's a 5? What's a 4? What's a 3? How low will you go?
I will never go past a 4. I even feel bad about giving a 4-star rating. I'm
Yeah.
just that kind of person. And
Mhm.
there were about 5 books last year that I read that I was like, I'm not gonna put a star to it because, again, other people might absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So, one of my 5-star reads of all time, my favorite book is The Age of Innocence. I think I've told
Mhm.
you that, and there's
Mhm.
just something magical about that book. I've read it multiple times. But I would say that it's subjective, and
Mhm.
I don't want to taint someone else's view of it because just because I didn't like it. But
Right.
every book I have read, even if I couldn't stand it, I went away with something. Something
Yes,
it
I
would stick with
totally
me.
agree. Mhm.
And yeah, so but
Yeah.
again, I try not to do under 4 stars. I just can't do it. What about you?
Yeah, I don't do under 3. I have gone as low as 3. I don't know, I kind of feel like a 5 to me is a book that I absolutely loved. I thought the pacing was good. I was in it the whole time. It's those books that I had to read in like 2 days because I couldn't wait to finish them. And when I rate something a 4, that means to me that it's a really good solid book, but maybe I wasn't as invested in it as I would be in a 5.
Yeah.
And then like a 3 is also like that's a good rating. I'm happy if somebody gives me a 3. Of course, I would like a 4 or a 5. But I do think like a 3 is a good solid rating, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of missing something. And
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
things that I learned, to speak to your point, I don't know about you, but my mother used to say, "Donna, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all."
Yes.
Um, but I do think if there is something missing and I'm going to give it a 3, I'm going to say, while this book might not be my cup of tea, people who like X, Y, and Z might love this book.
Yeah.
And so I always try to put a positive spin on it, even if, it's not the read that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life or put on my bookshelf.
So let's talk about the places where most people leave reviews. And the first one
Sure.
I want to talk about is Goodreads. It
Hmm.
is a huge online community. It's actually been bought by Amazon. So now when you go on Amazon, you can see
Hmm.
your how many Goodread ratings there are and how many Amazon ratings there are. It's user generated. It's completely the readers are in control. So tell
Right.
me a little bit about what your experience has been with Goodreads.
I love Goodreads. I find so many reading recommendations on there. I like that it has a shelf for
Mhm.
you to click, want to read. So I might not be reading this right now, but that want to read shelf reminds me. So when I'm ready for new books, I'll take out my Goodreads app and I'll be like, oh, okay, I wanted to read this, this, and this. I'm going to order these books. Um, the other thing that I like it for too is sometimes authors that I really like will blog, and
Mhm.
so I'll get to hear some insights about their book. So I enjoy that as well.
And the way that you can get good read views, obviously word of mouth. I mean, that's one
Mhm.
of the biggest things. But both Dawn and I are debut novelists, and to get good read reviews when you don't have a body of work, we actually had to work at it. And you can contact bloggers. There are ways of that. But another great way with Goodreads is Donna and I both just did our
Mhm.
first Goodread giveaway. So you basically just you fill out a form. It was so easy. It was so easy that I asked Donna, "Did I do this
Mhm.
right?" Because it took me about 3 minutes, honestly, to do.
Yeah,
And that
it's
way,
very easy.
yeah, it's on the feed. People who are really wanting to do Goodreads, they will seek you out. And so I gave away, I think, 10 signed copies, and I got 11, I think 12,000 people entered for that.
Mhm.
But the great thing is, if they enter, they have to put it on their shelf or want to read list, and that just generates. They may never read it, but who
Mhm.
knows? That's a good
Yeah.
way of attracting new readers. What did you
Yeah, it
think, Donna?
generates buzz, and you could look at each other's, lists. So
Mhm.
I could look at your list and say, "Oh, Hope wants to read this." I know that Hope and I have a lot of commonalities in our reading, so maybe I'll put this book on my list too, which is
Yeah.
nice.
So let's move over to the real big, the big place where you want ratings right now, and it is Amazon.
Mhm.
So Donna,
Yeah,
can you
those are
tell?
the 2 big ones,
Yeah. So
Amazon and Goodreads.
tell, tell us a little bit about Amazon and why it's so important that readers put a star attached to a book that they liked.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the algorithm, which I know that I don't understand. I haven't met a person who really understands Amazon's algorithm yet.
Yeah.
And if you're out there, please contact me and let me know. But it does have to do with the algorithm. So, those recommended books at the bottom, if you get a lot of reviews, they're going to, push your book up in the ranks, and they're going to suggest your book to other readers.
Yeah. So that is the whole point of it. The more
Mhm.
stars that you get, and in good, bad, and ugly,
Mhm.
the more reviews you have, Amazon will push it to up at the top, and it'll put it in more of the bottom where the recommendation. If you like this book, you're going to like this book, and the
Mhm.
more reviews you get in even like subcategories where you can say, "Oh, I was in the top 10 of this subcategory." So Amazon reviews are very important, and you don't even have to write a review to it. You can just give it
Yeah.
a star. So that's something that if you're a reader or if you're a writer, just to be aware how important Amazon, because a lot of book sales come from Amazon.
Mhm.
So let's talk about like a prestigious review. Let's talk about
Mhm.
Kirkus review.
Okay.
Donna, what was your experience with Kirkus?
I had a great experience with Kirkus. Kirkus costs money, and there are times that their reviews go on sale. And so I think took advantage of one of those times. You don't even have to, if you know that they have a sale, I think you can book them up to like 6 months or something
Mhm.
like that, and let them know um, when your book is releasing, and they will try to get it as close as they can to that book release. So I had a great experience with Kirkus. You upload a galley copy of your book to their website, and I got it back. I want to say it was maybe 2 months. What about you? Was it
I
about
had
the
I
same?
had the same experience. I mean, it was easy to upload it, but you also take the risk because Kirkus
Right.
can sometimes be pretty brutal and you don't
Mhm.
know what you're going to get. Now, the one thing with Kirkus, if your review is not what you're hoping for, you can just say, please don't publish it, but you can't use any part of that review. You can't even use a word if they said engrossing in one sentence. But I really enjoyed it. I got a good amount of buzz off of it. And
Mhm.
if you're willing to spend the money and you're willing to take the risk,
Right.
I was very happy with my Kirkus review.
Yeah,
So
I will do that again for my next book. And
yeah,
also, Hope and I were lucky enough to be selected by Kirkus Review to be featured in their magazine. And just a small percentage of books that they review are selected for that.
yeah.
So I was pretty proud of that. I was excited to be selected.
I think when they told me, I think it was like 30% of all the reviews get put
Yeah.
in the actual magazine. So that was thrilling. It was the first time my book was actually in a print magazine. So
Yeah.
that was nice.
Yeah.
But let's talk about other ways to get reviews. So there
Sure.
is a whole world on Instagram called
Mhm.
Bookstagram, and there
Yeah.
are lots of bloggers out there. There are some bloggers that want to charge money, and if it's an individual, I don't do that, but it doesn't mean someone else wouldn't. But there are
Mhm.
other bloggers that want to review your book. What kind of experience did you have with Bookstagram, like influencers or bloggers?
Sure. I have had a number of experiences. I can say only good things about Bookstagrammers. I've had great support from them.
Hmm.
I elicited a street team from them. So I put a graphic up on Instagram asking for a street team, and I had a number of people sign up. And so I sent them my book in exchange for a fair and honest review. And I think it's important that you always use those words, because you don't want to ask people to review it and then say, okay, but I want you to write this, or I
Yeah.
don't want you to write that. You really have to be open to the fact that they're going to give you a fair and honest review. And I got a number of reviewers that way, and they were, true to their word. They read my book, they gave me a fair and honest review, and it was fantastic.
And there's also another thing that's on Facebook and on Instagram called Susie Approved Book Tours. Now, you and I both did that. And tell me a little bit about your experience, because I had a wonderful experience with
Yeah,
Susie.
I had a great experience with Susie as well. So she is someone who put together a group of bookstagrammers.
Hmm.
So what you do is you sort of apply to Susie Approved, let her know the time frame that you're interested in. She started mine a few weeks before my release, and then it extended. I think mine was about 2 months long. I don't remember exactly. Um, but I want to say I had about 20 bookstagrams, and there are different programs too. You do pay for this. So you're paying Susie, and then Susie will read your book and put it out to her group of bookstagrammers and say, who's interested in reviewing this book. And she'll set up a whole schedule of reviews. So no two reviews come out on the same day, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. Um, and it's funny because I noticed that you experienced this as I did. You got some reviews while you were away on vacation,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
did.
And
Hmm.
so you were having to because you want to post them. You not only do you want to post them to yourself, but I felt like I want to post these just to let them know how grateful I am for the
Yeah.
reviews that they're doing.
And then there's one other important review if you are, getting ready to put your book out, if you're self-published, small press, or even traditional press, it's an author blurb. So we want to have other authors blurb our work, which is basically just, a couple of sentences. And so Donna, tell me about your experiences with getting author blurbs.
Sure. So I reached out to some authors that I knew,
Mhm.
and I was hopeful that they would say yes, and I was grateful that they did. But I also have this shoot for the stars mentality, as you know, um, and I reached out to some authors that are very well known, and unfortunately, I didn't get any yeses the first time around, but maybe for the second book, I will. It's kind of like a mini version of a querying process. You really do have to put like a personalized letter to these
Mhm.
people and, tell them why you want them to write a review, what about their work resonates with your own work. But yeah, I mean, I would say shoot for the stars. I was so grateful for all the blurbs that I got. Some really talented authors. So
Yeah, I agree. You do. You have to kind of query them, and after they do blurb and they give you your blurb, you can use it for social media. Mine are
Mhm.
on my Amazon, my author page, but I also sent them because my book is very heavily about flowers. Not heavily, but it's part of my
Mhm.
protagonist. Part of her story, I would send buttercups, as I call them, or daffodils, or whatever fresh spring flower I could find to each one of the authors as a thank you for taking the time out to read and to blurb my book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And real quick before we go, let's talk about, as an author or as a creator or as a writer,
Mhm.
what's it like when you see that first review that just breaks your heart,
That
because
first 1-star review
it's
with
going to
no
happen.
comments.
With what?
With no comments that
Oh yeah.
follow.
Yeah,
It's pretty gut-wrenching. I kind of feel like in anything, even as a teacher, like I will sometimes poll my kids, what did you like about the class? What did you hate about the class? And, I think you have to get rid of the glowing reviews that say, oh my God, this book was perfection, just as much as you have to get rid of the ones where I mean, I even question, like, I got a couple of 1-star reviews with no comment. Did you read the book? Like, if I don't know, if you're gonna give a very low rating like that, I would like to see why.
but I will say though, well, the first time I got one, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? But you
Mhm.
have to understand, this is a business. It's subjective. If somebody doesn't like it, okay, hey, that's what it is. We say in tennis, don't remember, just forget your last shot. If you
Yeah.
ace someone, or if you completely miss the ball, or you got aced, you can't focus on your last shot. You have to focus on the ball that's in front of you. And so that's kind of how the attitude that I took my first 1 star, and I've gotten more than that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. And I also think that querying helped kind of
Mhm.
toughen me up, because
Yes.
this is a business. It's just like anything else. We may have written our heart, but this in the end of the day, it is a business.
Yeah. And I think the thing that helps me too is something that you just mentioned. Not every reader is going to be the perfect reader for your book. And so, you might have the best book in the world. And I'm sure even, some of the very, very famous authors have 1-star reviews and have people who don't like their books. So reading is such a subjective thing. And I think you have to allow yourself grace as an author to realize that you're going to get some negative reviews, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad writer.
Absolutely. Well, we've gone a little over time today, but
Okay.
Donna, can you give everyone, like I say, you're our English teacher, can you give us our homework?
Sure. Our due now for today is to make a list of comps of books that are like yours. Go to Amazon, go to Goodreads, look them up. Look up the reviews, look up the reviewers. Sometimes I went on to Goodreads and reviewers that I saw like across several comps, I would follow them and then they would follow me back. So make a list, take a look at Bookstagrammers, notice their pages, take a note of the kinds of books that they like to review on their pages. Because if they like to review books that are like yours, make a list, engage with them on social media, reach out to them when your book is ready to come due.
Okay. And Donna, can you tell everyone where they can find us?
Sure. Everybody can find us on our website at www.authorstalkingbookish.com, and you could see us where any podcast is available. And our next episode is a book launch timeline. And so we thought that was fitting for our the anniversary of our 6th month of podcasting.
Can you believe that? I mean,
Yeah.
we've been doing this for 6 months. It's been,
I know.
I have to say,
fun.
this has been a lot of fun. But okay, so I guess that we're going to sign off now, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.